I have been obsessed with terrariums for some time now. They might seem intimidating, but if you use the right materials, you can make a little slice of nature that requires less care than your average houseplant, and that you can enjoy for years to come. But what are these right materials? And where do you get them? Well, I have put together a terrarium kit to make all of these materials accessible to everyone. These bioactive terrarium kits can be found at my favorite place to get tropical plants, Richie's Feed and Seed Garden Center. They will also be available at any expo that the Microverse or the Cult of the Plant is vending. But also mayhaps an online store so I can send these kits everywhere? Mayhaps. In this video, I'll show you how to put together one of these terrarium kits. But if you have any of these materials, you can put together a kit yourself. Stay tuned for awesomeness. And welcome to the Microverse. Here are a few examples of what the finished product could look like. This varies based on the scaper and the hardscape provided, and no two will ever look the exact same. So what's in this kit? The kit includes an IKEA glass jar with transparent top, 181 grams of leca for the false bottom, a mesh substrate barrier, a culture of tropical springtails, 222 grams of ABG mix, 1 piece of hardscape, 1 bag of detail materials, 1 cup of assorted flora, in this case 2 cuttings of Fittonia, 3 cuttings of Peacock Slaginella or Oak Leaf Creeping Fig, depending on what you like, and a patch of moss. Moss is not optional. You must put moss in your terrariums. Let's put this together. First is the false bottom. This is where the bag of leca comes in. Then I add the mesh substrate barrier, making sure it curves upward to keep substrate out of the false bottom. This is where I like to add the springtails, along with the charcoal that they breed on. This will help purify the water within the water cycle. I add about half the substrate provided to get a nice cushion for the hardscape. It is good to create a slope towards the back to give a better sense of depth, but this depends on the type of scene that you are going for. Here is when the fun starts. For me at least. Hardscaping. Check the viewing angle and play around with the placement of your hardscape a bit. I always say wiggle your hardscape, and tiny hardscapes are no exception. Once I have settled on placement, I like to add a little more substrate where I can to lock the piece of wood or any other substrate like rock in place, as well as create some topography within the scape. I then give the substrate a spray to lock everything down before I start planting. I place plants and vines around the hardscape. Please feel free to experiment with placement until you get something you are completely happy with or satisfied with, and also remember that you can always change things around as the scape develops. This looks good. I then give the terrarium another spray before letting it settle for a bit. After about a day or two, I go back and do the detailing. This gives me a chance to rest my creative muscles, if you will. Feel free to keep adding or removing items as you acquire any more natural materials, such as pebbles, rocks, or driftwood. And now you have made yourself a terrarium, a little slice of nature, a microverse. But how do you maintain it? What does it need to thrive? And what about lighting? All this information is available in the Terrarium Pocket Guide. Just go to themicroverse.ca and click on the downloadable tab on the top. This handy pocket guide will give you all the information you need, from lighting requirements to misting frequency. Happy building, my dear life form, and may the moss be with you.